Hello and welcome to another Best Junglers video, this one fresh for patch 11.16 as we head towards Worlds and the final third of the season. That's right, if you've been relaxing too much in the summer, it's time to start grinding it out, and what better way to do it than with the best junglers in the game. And we actually had a very good patch this time round. Diana nerfed, Xin Zhao nerfed, Lee Sin nerfed, a couple of buffs as well, so now more than ever the jungle meta is wide open. So as always, if you enjoy these videos, please consider leaving a like and of course subscribing. And if you want to improve with these champions or just to get better at jungling in general, please consider heading to our sponsor, League of Coaching. Grab yourself some high elo coaching to explain anything about the role, such as itemization, how to use a map effectively, or champion-specific micro. In order to figure out where you should path, how you should path, and why you should path, consider their live coaching, VOD review coaching, and much more. Simply sign up on the website, choose your coach, join their Discord from the link in the description below, select your time on their schedule, make sure you are fully prepared for the end of the season, head to League of Coaching's website with the link below, and go and earn those rewards. Right, first up on the S tier page, we are beginning with the legendary Kha'Zix. As I mentioned in the hardest jungles to master video, he is one of the most diverse and in-depth junglers you can pick up. There is an absolutely huge scope in terms of learning him. From season to season, from meta to meta, you will learn and do something differently. Whether it's itemization changes, rune changes, evolve changes, you can basically bend him into whatever shape you want, much like a gymnast. But more to the point, he just has an easy way around the matchups at the moment, and the ones he doesn't really enjoy, well, guess what? You can reverse clear, you can farm, and when you pop off, and when you snowball, and when you get going, it's all in your control. Just pay attention to team fighting, please. That's the one thing that all Kha'Zix players know. If you're bad at this, you end up throwing leads and losing games you really shouldn't. But with the nerfs to other meta junglers, he is absolutely sitting pretty or grotesque, depending on what you enjoy. I don't judge. Next up, welcome back Shaco. Well, that was a great one patch without you. A Q hotfix that basically made it so he had counterplay, and then they reverted it because people said that's too much counterplay. Let's stop pretending that a cheese gank level 2 is difficult to conduct. It isn't, but some laners need to use their range advantage and their poke advantage to get lanes and leads, which means basically your whole draft practice can be ruined from level 1 to 3 if there's a Shaco against you. Obviously there are ways around it and we have no issue playing against him and beating him eventually, it's just so hyper tilting to face all the time. And then people make memes, it's just because he's OP in Brazilian high elo. I mean, look at NA, look at EU West, the win rate is good there as well. But you know what, that splash out for the new skin, it's absolutely glorious. Next up, we have Kayn, and you just can't ignore the power anymore. As long as you understand what form to take and when, the time bomb of your existence will be unprunable. A Shadow Assassin versus the right comp and Ross versus the right comp is basically a win condition all in of itself. Slap that together with the fact that you can basically handle any game state situation you want, and that's the beauty of it, and I made a video about playing from behind specifically and used Kayn as the avatar for that kind of jungle scaling perfection. And yes, you can have issues into Kindreds and Nidleys if you don't play the matchups correctly and you let them abuse you, but you're better than that. You have good pathing, you know how to scale, and I started that like there was going to be another thing, but we might as well just move on to Jarvan IV. Welcome back to the champion I said was like white bread, because he'd always be useful and always have a position in the meta. And for those of you who saw the Jarvan gameplay analysis assessing his, buffs in a practical sense on the gameplay channel, you will recall that I said after his buffs, he's now a piece of fibrous whole wheat toast. Not only do we have a 2% increase on his current HP passive, he also got a 5% AD bonus ratio on his ultimate, which means you can now boom enemy champions in a way that only Solo Renekton only knows how. Now say that 4 times and then add Jarvan to the list of champions you want to work with this summer, because he's that good. You want some level 2 cheese like Xin Zhao? You can do it. You want to be a tanky boy like Warwick and disrupt late game? You can do that too. You want to go diving with Galio and make enemy laners hate their lives? Guess what? Tank, bruiser, full AD, whatever you need, now you can clear faster, do more damage, fight better, and you can do it all while knowing that Jarvan never skips a shoulder day at the workout. In fact, I think he does it every day. But yeah, the champion's good. Play him. And guess who's still here? Fiddlesticks. Guess who will always be here? Fiddlesticks. I love niche champions that have a weird playstyle that's just different to everything else that always have a place in the win rates. Scaling champions with dominating teamfights is great for low elo, and those who understand how to path well, match up against the meta even if it's not favorable, and then end up in that same situation, especially in higher elo, will always just be better junglers overall because you're navigating much harder odds. Fiddle's micro isn't hard, that's not why I rate him as hard. I rate him as hard because not only does your clear have to be impeccably good, much like a Karthus, you also have to have such a better understanding of vision gaps, fog of war abuse, and knowing all the best walls and best hangouts to conduct a hippity-hoppity jump. And you can almost do that without any concern about what the meta is. Sure, there are bad matchups, but despite the common view that Fiddlesticks players aren't, the best at the game, honestly, go play it a few times, see the difference between you and Teddy Sticks in Korea. And here we have Xin Zhao, and I might be underselling him again, but the nerfs really did make a difference. When you take away 5 AD, it affects all your autos, all your spells, and in this case it took away 3 AD. Is it huge? No. But will it affect everything you do in that first phase? 100%. As such, his win rate has dipped from broken to just really damn good. Maybe you could still put him as a top tier jungler in the game. He's performing very well on high elo as well. But I do think the win rate being lower than a lot of other champions on this list, especially those with higher play rates, reveals to us that while he's still one of the best in the game, there's a whole pool of junglers that you can use that can claim that same title. And on that note, Viego had a huge bug issue in the first few days, so his data is corrupted, no pun intended, but they have fixed that as of today, I believe, so that win rate will fix itself over the course of the next 2 weeks. One of the best champions in the game from a jungle perspective. If you are ahead, you can snowball and basically take over games. If you are behind, you will have no issue, provided you have a cool head on your shoulders, unlike the actual champion in lore, and just taking what the map gives you, relaxing, controlling your quadrants, maybe sneaking an objective or two, and then finding that perfect moment to make a pick or win a team fight. I did a gameplay like this on the gameplay channel as well, so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. And it's why people love Viego in the jungle, and it's why they want him in the jungle and not on lanes. And as I said before, that's a good thing. Finally, we have Lee Sin. They nerfed his Omnivamp. Oh no, whatever shall we do? Yeah, nothing really. Yeah, it hurts the sustain, it hurts those elongated 1v1s. But overall, if he's one-shotting you before you can do anything to him, what difference does it make? The win rate did go down. It's getting back to where it really should be for such a high-skilled champion. And even though Nocturne might deserve this spot more than Lee Sin, I think with the play rate and the win rate still being just under 50%, and the fact that he's seeing glorious success in high elo means that Lee Sin still deserves to be on the S tier page. But as always, as we head to the A tier page and you see the Nocturne in that spot, please remember that these are the best junglers in the meta from my perspective, as well as what the data suggests, not a total list of the only junglers you can use, which means if they're not listed here, they can still be good, they can still get you wins, they can still be strong against certain champions, but they do not define the meta like the champions in this video. And Nocturne is one of said champions. Yes, he is very strong. Honestly, with the Lee Sin, you can swap it back and forth depending on how you personally jungle. And I think the Stride Breaker event affected him a little bit too deeply, but he's recovering nicely. The win rate is solid. Everything you want to do with Nocturne in terms of farming, fighting, and dive bombing ADCs, this dream still exists. Go chase it. You can control games very easily, but during that downtime of your ultimate and pre-level 6, other junglers on the S tier page will be looking to make some actions and some ganks, so be aware of this, look for counter ganks, make sure you have objective control, and when split pushing time comes, don't play with your food, just eat it. Next up, we have Lady Rek'Sai. I love this champion, and I put a video on the gameplay channel again. I'm referencing that a lot lately, but I think I've covered a lot of interesting scenarios about these champions, and Rek'Sai is just so good in the win rate department. She matches up so well against a lot of the champions above her on this list. Overall, does the meta suit her champion style and win condition game plan? No, not as much as the other champions who can farm faster, who can scale better, but if you choose the right lane and you match up well 1v1 against a jungler, as long as your pathing is as good as your big bulbous brains will allow, and you understand, how to cut off enemy junglers and prevent their fantasies, you'll have no issue using Rek'Sai to win games. Just remember that I may have called her Lady Rek'Sai, but Lady Time is undefeated. If you do not extend that time window for your win conditions by being aggressive and proactive early, only sadness awaits. And now Nunu is next on this list, and I did remove them from the last few editions of the best junglers because they just weren't performing well. People asked why, I said why. Riot agreed and decided, you know what, let's buff Nunu. Except they ignored Willem, didn't mention him in the patch notes, and didn't even include an image. Now if you could imagine Willem in an Anakin Skywalker meme yelling, "It's not fair," then good job, because that's what I just imagined. Gave some more movement speed, so now you can turbo sprint, gangbang, gank any lane you want. And that total damage ratio on the Snowball Barrage, the E, 54% to 90% AP. It's a good thing they nerfed Dark Seal. If you enjoy building a little bit of AP within the tankiness that is Nunu and Willem, yeah, I wouldn't want to be the enemy jungler. Next, we have Trundle, and Trundle, honestly, is one of the most stat-checky, tilty, irritating champions when he's strong. People were complaining about Udyr and Hecarim. Now Trundle is showing up with some kind of reverse psychology version of this, because instead of just turbo sprinting at you and then, I guess, killing you while being unkillable, he just slows you so much that you end up walking backwards, sticks a pillar where you really don't want it, takes away all of your hard-earned AD much like a tax collector. If that wasn't enough, you can't escape because this W just makes him really fast. Like a wild boar, it's unexpected. You look at it, you're like, huh, that's kind of interesting, and then it sprints at you and you're crying. Great against anything with AD that's melee, great against any tank who doesn't want their stats to be stolen, great at an E-max supportive jungling playstyle, or you can solo carry, go with the Q-max and just, yoink everything. I miss the days when he was hidden OP, not just OP. Next up we have Zac, who's just under the radar again, which is kind of funny. He likes to fly over the radar. The Trundle does make his life a little bit more difficult, by stealing his stats. Nunu can do the Zac ganks except from level 3 onward. But all in all, for your flex 5s, for your solo queue tank engages, for your, clash games, I'd say he's absolutely solid, and then you'd make a dad joke about he's actually soft, and then I'm gonna go to the next champion, which is Karthus. Yeah, I'm kind of getting ominous vibes from Karthus at the moment. I'm afraid. I'm very afraid he's gonna pick up and play rate, that win rate's gonna keep going up. He's gonna outfarm me and nuke me from base. He's gonna shred my magic resist, and when I kill him, he's not really dead. I'm gonna play Rek'Sai and spam gang bottom lane a bunch of times, get ahead. He's gonna press R one time, get all the shutdown. He's on the cusp of meta domination, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hope he remains there. But if he doesn't, and you need a bit of ultimate on ultimate crime, then the Kindred ultimate is a great blocker to the Karthus ult, provided your team gets in it and doesn't spread out like a bunch of idiots. Still performing very well in high elo, and your general, diamondish elos can be used in platinum or so. Do your jungling as you would with any other champion, and if the marks make sense in terms of how your sort of macro and pathing goes, then you'll be able to have good success. If you're running to the Krugs for a mark and there's a dragon up, then you don't deserve the win. Always focus on everything within the flow of the game, and your marks will come to you with that patience. Don't overgreed for them, don't overcheese for them. Mark the champion that you're killing. Take the Herald. All of these things play into a Kindred's mind, which is why they're a mechanical and mindful champion. And finally on this list, not very, mechanical, but mindful, is the Ivern. Great for people who understand win conditions, who to shield, and how to path more big brain than any jungler's ever seen before. Although what I'm doing now as Zyra jungle is just buying a controlled every time, so, I kind of ruin their fun that way. Remember, you are not the carry though, so identify who is the carry for you, track the enemy jungler, prevent their win conditions, accentuate yours, and you'll be on your way. Right, that went a little bit longer, so a brief highlight of the low elo page. We have the Master Yeetus once again returning at the top. You've got the Shaco there. I do want to shout out the Warwick performing very well overall, just not really, punching himself into the proper meta as it were. But he is performing very well in the lower depths, and that skin is something to behold. Vi's kind of in the same arena, she's like a Jarvan analog, so if Jarvan is strong, she can be strong too. Just doesn't have quite the dynamic nature of the kid as he does. But in low elo at the moment, with the nerfs to Diana, with the nerfs to Xin Zhao, with the nerfs to Lee Sin and other things, she has actually seen her win rate go up a little bit this patch. And finally, the high elo page. Ironically, Xin Zhao is still performing very, very well. His win rate is just as high as it was in the previous patch. The nerfs meaning less in the skill bracket than in the general bracket of the rest of the population, which is interesting. Obviously, knowledge of damage output and DPS and things like this really make a difference in terms of when a champion is weaker or not from the AD nerfs. Likewise, Lee Sin is performing equally as well. Nidalee has propelled herself upwards. Diana's gone way down. Viego is still good. Jarvan saw an absolute huge play rate spike in high elo. You're going to see him in pro play. Wouldn't be surprised to see the Galio come out as well. And Shaco's win rate and play rate is back to where it was before the hotfix. I don't know what to tell you guys. As always, the Olafs, the Graves, the Kindreds, they all have an excellent spot here. They are not bad. These are just the ones that are mostly played, have a better win rate overall, but in high elo, as I've always said, if you can pilot the champion properly and you got here with the champion, you can most likely stick around with it. But there you have it, the best junglers for 11.16, hopefully 11.17 as well. The frequency of these will go down as Riot, institutes minimal changes as we approach the Worlds patch, because I definitely want to do one for that. But until then, stop touching your beards, you're making it dirty. Thank you very much for watching. Please do like, share, and comment if you did enjoy and learn something. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel as well as the secondary channel. Patreon is also linked in the description below, and as always, I will see you all in the next tutorial.